Click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel, like and share this video, and engage in our comments. I hadn't expected to feel anything when I got on that plane to Nigeria. It was just supposed to be a week away for my best friend Adaisy's wedding, a quick break from the usual back home. My husband couldn't make it because of work, which I honestly didn't mind. We've been married 7 years, and somewhere between the school runs, meal prepping, and endless arguments over nothing, we've just kind of plateaued. Nothing dramatic, just dull. Lagos was overwhelming at first, hot, loud, colorful in ways I wasn't used to. But Adaize had thought of everything. The wedding was being held at a stunning beach resort 2 hours out of the city, and from the moment we arrived, it felt like stepping into a dream. Palms swayed over clean white sand, and the ocean was that unreal kind of blue you only see in postcards. The resort had this open-air bar by the beach, and that's where I saw him. Tall, ridiculously tall, shirt tight across his chest, skin the color of polished mahogany, a voice that could melt stone. He was laughing with another guest when I walked up to order a drink, and when his eyes met mine, I swear my legs almost gave out. Not because he was hot, though he absolutely was, but because his stare lingered just long enough to say, "I see you." "First time in Nigeria?" he asked, handing me a mojito. I smiled. "That obvious?" "Only to someone who's been watching you from across the bar." I laughed, probably too loudly, and looked away to hide the blush rising in my cheeks. His name was Tundai. I didn't mean to go back to the bar as often as I did. But somehow, every time I wandered near it, there he was, wiping glasses, mixing cocktails, making people laugh. Making me laugh. We talked more than we should have. I told him about London, about how I missed my kids already. He asked questions no one had asked me in years, real ones. Not just the polite, "How are you?" but "Are you happy?" and "When was the last time someone really saw you?" By the third day, I was avoiding Adaize just to slip away to the bar. I started wearing that sundress I knew showed a bit more shoulder than usual. The one my husband used to say was a little much for school pickup. I wanted Tundai to notice me, and he did. God, he did. One night, after the traditional ceremony, most guests had gone to bed. I stayed behind, a bit tipsy from champagne, heels in my hand, the night air thick and warm. He was cleaning up. "You're still here?" he asked, voice low. I just smiled and sat at the bar. "Guess I'm not ready for bed." He gave me that look again, that slow, deliberate one. And then he walked around the bar, leaned close enough that I caught the scent of his cologne, something spicy, earthy, and asked quietly, "You sure?" I didn't answer, because I didn't know. But I didn't move either. I just let the moment sit there between us, like a secret waiting to be told. The silence between us that night was thick, not awkward, no, far from it. It was that kind of silence that makes your heart pound louder than it should. Tundai didn't say anything else for a moment. He just watched me, like he was reading something off my skin, something I hadn't said out loud. And I sat there like an idiot, playing with the straw in my empty glass, trying to pretend I didn't feel the heat crawling up my neck. "I should go," I said finally, standing too fast. But my feet didn't move. His gaze didn't drop. "You don't want to." And I hated that he was right. But I also loved it. There was no kiss, no touch. Nothing happened, not technically. But something cracked open inside me that night. I walked back to my room barefoot, heart racing, hands trembling, wondering what the hell I was doing. The next morning, I avoided the bar. I told myself it was better, safer. I even stayed close to the bride and tried to lose myself in wedding chaos. But I kept looking for him. My eyes betrayed me before my thoughts could even catch up. I caught glimpses of him, serving drinks, laughing with guests, looking completely unbothered. I told myself it meant nothing. That night, the reception was wild, music loud, everyone dancing, colors swirling under fairy lights. I was already a little drunk when Adaiza pulled me onto the dance floor. We laughed like schoolgirls, and for a moment I felt light again, like the old me. Then I saw him, Tundai, in a white linen shirt, sleeves rolled up, skin glowing under the soft lights. He wasn't behind the bar this time. He was dancing with a group of people, but his eyes were fixed on me, watching me move, watching my hips sway, watching me laugh. I don't even remember walking away from the crowd, but I found myself by the pool, breathing hard, needing air. Moments later, I heard footsteps behind me. "You were beautiful out there," he said. I didn't turn around. "You shouldn't say things like that." "But I mean them," he replied, stepping closer. I could feel his presence without looking. The air shifted around him. My body leaned slightly back, just enough to brush against him, and the feeling sent a ripple through me. He didn't touch me. Not really. But his breath was against my neck now, close enough to make me dizzy. "Tell me to leave," he whispered. I didn't. Instead, I turned my head just slightly, my lips almost brushing his cheek. "I'm married," I said, barely above a whisper. "I know," he replied. Still, neither of us moved. And that's when the music from the reception got louder again. Someone must have changed the song. A beat dropped, people cheered, laughter echoed in the distance. The spell broke, just like that. I stepped forward and didn't look back. My hands were shaking again, my heart in my throat. I told myself I'd gone too far this time, that nothing would happen again. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over. It had only just begun. I tried to act normal the next day. I really did. Smiled during the brunch, laughed with the other guests, sat through toasts and cheerful stories about the bride and groom. But inside, I was restless. Every second felt stretched thin, like I was holding my breath without realizing it. I avoided looking for him, but my body had a mind of its own. When I finally did see him, he was wiping down the bar, focused, calm, collected, like the night before hadn't rattled him in the slightest. I hated that about him. I hated how steady he seemed, while I was unraveling inside. "Want a drink?" he asked, noticing me. I hesitated. I probably shouldn't. "But you're already here," he said, pouring something cold and clear into a glass without even asking what I wanted. I took it from him. Our fingers didn't touch, but the space between us buzzed. He didn't say anything else. Neither did I. And yet, something was screaming beneath the surface, like two magnets just a hair apart, waiting to snap together. Later that evening, there was an after-party, smaller, more private. Just close friends, some of the couple's cousins, a few leftover stragglers. I wasn't planning to go, but of course I went. My husband had called earlier. He couldn't make it out after all. Something came up at work. I told him I understood. My voice didn't even crack. The party was in a villa by the water. It was quieter than the reception, with soft music, dim lights, and the smell of grilled fish and coconut drifting through the air. I spotted Tundai immediately. He wasn't behind the bar tonight. He was a guest. Or maybe he was here for me. I grabbed a drink and tried to focus on the conversation happening around me. People were talking, laughing, flirting. The night was warm and lazy, everyone glowing from the wine and sea breeze. Eventually, he found his way to me. He didn't say hello, just leaned against the wall beside me, both of us looking out toward the moonlit water. "You're the only one here who isn't pretending," he said. I turned to him. "What do you mean?" He looked at me then, and it was different, not playful, not coy, It was raw. You're holding everything in. You think no one sees it, but I do. My throat tightened. You don't know me. I know enough, he said. There was a long pause, one of those dangerous silences again. He leaned in, so close I could smell the salt on his skin. If I kissed you right now, he said, would you stop me? My heart thundered. I didn't move. I didn't answer. He hovered there for a beat longer, waiting, daring me. And then, just as his lips were a whisper from mine, we heard a laugh behind us. Someone stepped onto the patio. A cousin. I recognized her voice. I stepped back so fast I almost dropped my glass. He smiled faintly, like he was used to this game, like he'd been here before. See you around, he said, and walked back inside. I stood there alone, heart pounding, the heat of him still clinging to my skin. I didn't kiss him, but I had wanted to. God, I had wanted to. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying that moment on the patio, his words, the nearness of his mouth, the hunger in both of us. I felt foolish for not stopping it earlier, for not walking away when I had the chance. But even worse, I hated myself for how badly I wanted more. The next morning the air was heavier, like something unsaid was lingering in the breeze. It was the last full day before everyone would head back home, and most of the guests were either hungover or lounging by the pool, soaking in the final bits of the wedding buzz. I kept thinking it would fade, that I'd shake this off, chalk it up to too much wine and heat and flattery, but nothing faded. If anything, the ache was sharper. I kept looking over my shoulder, scanning the crowd, and when I finally saw him again, it felt like I'd been holding my breath for hours. He was standing alone under a canopy of palm trees by the beach, sunglasses on, arms folded, watching me. Like he knew I'd come find him. I didn't even think. I just started walking. No plan, no excuse. Just my heart hammering in my chest and the sound of the waves crashing nearby. When I reached him, he didn't say anything. Just turned and started walking toward one of the small private lounges tucked away from the party crowd. I followed. Inside, it was quiet, intimate. Wooden walls, woven curtains, and the muffled sound of music playing somewhere far off. He closed the door behind us. I should have said something. Anything. But the tension filled the room so fast it swallowed every word. His eyes locked with mine. You know why you're here, he said. I swallowed hard, my whole body humming with nerves. I shouldn't be. But you are. He stepped forward, slowly, like he was giving me every chance to leave. This doesn't have to mean anything, he said. We don't have to take it there. But if you want to feel something, just for a moment, I'm here. I didn't know whether to run or fall into him. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, so gentle it made my skin burn. His hand lingered, sliding down to my jaw. His touch was electric. My breath caught in my throat. And then, just as he was about to kiss me, there was a loud knock. We both froze. Another knock. Harder this time. And a voice. My friend's voice. Hey, are you in there? She called out. Your husband's on the phone. He's been calling like crazy. My stomach dropped. He stepped back. I scrambled to straighten myself, trying to look composed, even though I could barely think. Tell him I'm coming, I said, voice barely steady. We didn't speak as I opened the door, didn't even look at each other. But just before I stepped out, I felt his hand brush my wrist, just for a second. I turned back, heart thundering. His voice was low. If we'd had 10 more seconds. I didn't let him finish. I walked out, sunlight hitting me like a spotlight. I told myself it was over. I told myself it didn't happen. But that night, flying back home, sitting next to my husband as he scrolled through pictures from the wedding, smiling. I felt that heat again, that pull. And deep down, I knew I hadn't closed the door. Not completely, because part of me still wanted to know. What would have happened in those 10 more seconds? Now that you enjoyed this story, make sure you share this video to your friends and story lovers, and click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel for more true and real stories like this.